Hello and welcome to the final video in the series of how to structure a successful AS/A2 essay in English literature and English language. In this video we're going to focus on the conclusion. The conclusion comes at the end of a long series of planning points and working out what your argument's going to be. The conclusion should always weigh up. That's looking and evaluating what's been written in relationship to the question, and not just summarise what you've said before. If you did that, it just makes the conclusion unclear and it takes away from the coherence of your argument. So what you should be doing is you're looking at the alternatives and you're saying these are the correct ones and these fit in with my argument because I've shown the following evidence. It's not a summing up, it's a weighing up. So it's an evaluation that goes right to the top of the bands in all of the A-level exam boards. It should make sure that you should really be showing that you understand the themes, the characters, or anything of those things that you've been actually asked to write about in relationship to the question. So you're really linking everything up, you're tying everything together, you're showing the thread of your ideas that have gone right from the beginning in the introduction through the three areas that you talked about and explored and examined and analysed and evaluated in relationship to your key texts, and you're bringing that all to the eyes of the reader and showing the examiner that you understand what the question was about, you understood what elements you needed to include, and that you've actually answered the question overall. So you must reach a definite judgment. So you're weighing up and you're making a judgment. Okay, things to avoid when writing your conclusion. These are pretty clear, you can see them on the screen. Just summarising, like I said, it's weighing up, it's not summing up. Or just pointless listing. You can see here this example where the candidate is just making a vague point and a vague summary, which is very narrative. This is down in the E to U grade. Also assertions that don't link to your conclusion or any of the arguments you've made. So really, by adding in conclusion or finally and then just making a general comment is not answering the question. You need to always be referencing back to the question and how you've answered it. So here, for example, this assertion which talks about Hamlet, again it's vague, it's unclear, it doesn't answer any question, it's just general and shows a distinct lack of knowledge by the candidate. And again, here we go, finally, this vague generalization doesn't link to the writer's intentions or the text itself. And so again, you must avoid these sort of things. So the conclusion isn't all about making vague general statements that don't link to the argument you've made. They're not about summing up the story or telling us what a character is like. It's about answering the question. The conclusion is about referencing the question and what you've said about the question throughout the whole of your essay. And this has to be done right from the beginning when you plan it, as you've been shown, to when you write it, either in an exam or for your piece of coursework. Now, if we move on to what a conclusion should look like, as I did with the introduction, what I've done here is I've broken the conclusion down into 4 areas. So you can see there's a reassertion, the justification, the assessment of the question and so on, and the evaluation and the implications of your argument in relationship to the question you're being asked to answer. So I've used the same question that I used when I looked at the introduction. And the reassertion here, you can see that the point has been made. Bronte's presentation of Catherine and Heath's relationship is the novel's pivotal point. This goes back to the introduction, and if you look at the introduction in the second video that was done about how to structure your essay, you'll see that that point was actually made, and what this is echoing that point but tying the whole essay together. You have to justify this point, but you'll justify it from the key areas that you develop through the core of your essay. And here in the narrative we have it here, underscore the argument you made in your introduction and develop through the body of your essay. Then the next sentence that follows on from this in this final paragraph justifies what you've been talking about throughout the body of your essay. So the idea that relationship between Catherine and Heathcliff are used by Bronte, so we're talking about here the author's intentions to interrogate. Notice here how the sophisticated level of language is being used. AO1 is being used very much here to draw together the ideas and evaluate them. And again, echoes a lot of the introductory comments that are made, but obviously these would have been unpacked and explored, analysed and evaluated through the 3 key areas of your essay. So here we go, support the assertion, and here the student might want to use another writer's point of view, an alternative interpretation, or if they want to, they may have a counterpoint, or they can use a classic piece of criticism by other writers. So the justification is made, and that goes on to an assessment of the justification and an expounding of the other points that have obviously been made through the key body of the essay, linking to what the actual relationship is and how it reveals things within the essay and how this is actually answering the question. Again, explain how your view answers the question, and this should echo the key argument made in the body of the essay. And then finally, an evaluation of your points and their implications towards the question and your understanding of what you've been asked to do. So here the genre elements are brought in, here Bronte's intentions are brought in, and linked to actually the implications of Bronte's presentation of Catherine and Heathcliff's relationship in terms of it being somewhat satiric, somewhat deconstructing of a genre, a Gothic genre, and also looking at creating a new space for a female character within the Victorian novel. So what you have here then is you have an evaluation of the points that have been made previously through the reassertion, the justification and the assessment, and then linking that to the implications of what the novel actually means in terms of its genre, its context, and maybe its links to other texts. So when writing our conclusions then, we must be very careful. We must be careful that we don't sum up. We must be careful that we don't make vague points. We must be careful that we do not forget to link the question to the author's intentions and what the implications of those intentions are for the question and the understanding of the reader themselves.